What if I told you that you could plant a vegetable garden one single time and never plant it again for the rest of your life? No seed packets every spring, no trays under grow lights, no kneeling in the mud every April hoping this year's seedlings survive. Just food coming back, year after year, whether you touch it or not. Sounds too good to be true, right? It's not. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which 10 vegetables do this and how to set them up so they thrive for decades. Let's talk about the problem first, because if you've ever grown a vegetable garden, you already know the cycle. Every single spring, you start over. You buy seeds again, you start seedlings again, you till the soil again, you transplant, you water, you weed, you protect from frost, and just when your plants finally start producing, the season ends and winter wipes it all out. Then you do it all over again. It's exhausting. It's expensive, and here's the part that really stings. Most gardeners spend anywhere from $200 to $500 a year just on seeds, starts, and soil amendments, replanting the exact same crops they planted the year before. That's not gardening, that's a subscription service you're paying with your time and your money. And it's not just about the cost, it's about the dependency. Every year you're starting from zero. Every year, your food security resets to nothing until your plants catch up. If a late frost kills your seedlings, or you get sick during planting season, or life just gets busy, you could lose your entire harvest before it even begins. That's a fragile system, and most people don't even realize there's another way. Here's where it gets interesting. There's an entire category of vegetables that most gardeners completely ignore. Old world farmers knew about them. Homesteaders from 100 years ago relied on them, but somewhere along the way, modern gardening culture forgot about them because seed companies don't make much money selling you a plant you only ever have to buy once. These vegetables are called perennials, and unlike the tomatoes and lettuce most of us grow, they don't die at the end of the season. Their roots survive the winter underground, and they come back roaring back every single spring, bigger and stronger than before. I'm going to walk you through 10 of the best ones, how to plant them, and how to set up a system where your garden basically runs itself. Stick around because number 7 is one almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most productive plant on this entire list. Let's start with the most well-known one, asparagus. Asparagus is the poster child of perennial vegetables, and for good reason. Once established, a single asparagus bed can produce spears for 20, even 30 years. Here's where most people get it wrong, though. They plant it and expect spears the very first spring. That's not how it works. Asparagus needs 2 to 3 years to build up its root system before you harvest anything. I made this mistake myself in my first garden. I got impatient, harvested too early, and weakened the whole bed for years. Be patient. Plant the crowns in a sunny, well-drained spot, mulch heavily, and leave it alone for the first 2 seasons. After that, you'll be harvesting spears every single spring for decades with almost zero effort. Next up, rhubarb. If asparagus is the poster child, rhubarb is the workhorse. This plant is nearly indestructible once it's established. It tolerates cold winters, comes back reliably, and one healthy rhubarb crown can produce pounds of stalks every single spring for 15 or more years. The trick with rhubarb is giving it room. It needs space to spread, rich soil, and a yearly top dressing of compost. And here's a tip most people never hear. Never eat the leaves. They're toxic. Only the stalks are edible. Once you know that, rhubarb is about as low maintenance as food gets. Third, sunchokes, also called Jerusalem artichokes. This one genuinely surprises people. Sunchokes are a root vegetable that grows like a weed, produces an enormous harvest, and comes back every year from the roots you missed during harvest. In fact, that's the only warning I'll give you. Plant sunchokes somewhere contained, because they will spread if you let them. But if you want a low-effort, high-output crop, this is one of the best. A single 10-foot row can produce over 60 pounds of tubers in a season. That's not a typo. 60 pounds from a plant you basically forget about until harvest time. Fourth on the list, walking onions, sometimes called Egyptian onions. This one feels like magic the first time you see it. Instead of producing seeds on top, walking onions grow small bulbs at the top of their stalks. When those stalks get heavy, they bend over and plant themselves a foot or two away. Over a few years, your onion patch literally walks across your garden, expanding on its own. You get green onion tops in spring, mature bulbs in summer, and a self-propagating patch that never needs replanting. This is the plant equivalent of a garden that manages itself.
Now here's the part nobody tells you. Number 5 is perennial kale, sometimes called tree collards or Daubington's kale. Most people think kale is an annual because that's what they grow. But there are perennial varieties that, in the right climate, can live for 5 to 10 years, growing into small shrubs that you harvest leaves from continuously. No replanting, no bolting to worry about in the same way, just consistent greens almost year-round in milder climates. This one flies under the radar because most nurseries don't stock it, but it's one of the highest value additions you can make to a low-maintenance food garden. Sixth, sorrel. This is a leafy green with a bright, lemony flavor, and it's criminally underused. Sorrel comes back reliably every spring, tolerates partial shade, and gives you fresh greens earlier in the season than almost anything else in your garden. It's low maintenance, it self-seeds gently, and it adds variety to your harvest without any extra work after the first planting. Number 7, and this is the one I promised you, horseradish. Most people only think of horseradish as a condiment, but as a plant, it is absurdly productive and almost impossible to kill. Once you plant a horseradish root, it will come back every single year, and if you ever try to remove it, any tiny piece of root left behind will regrow. That sounds like a warning, and it kind of is, but it also means this is one of the most resilient, self-sustaining food crops you can grow. One established patch can supply a family with fresh horseradish root indefinitely, and it requires essentially zero care. Just give it a dedicated spot where you don't mind it spreading a little. Eighth, Good King Henry. This one has a great backstory. It was a staple green in European gardens for centuries before spinach became popular, and it's almost entirely disappeared from modern gardens, which is a shame because it's incredibly reliable. It comes back every spring, tolerates poor soil, and gives you a spinach-like green you can harvest for months. If you want something genuinely rare and functional, this is it. Ninth, perennial leeks, sometimes called elephant garlic or walking leeks, depending on the variety. Similar to walking onions, these produce small bulblets that let the plant spread and perpetuate itself. You get a mild, oniony vegetable that comes back on its own, expanding your harvest slightly more every year without you lifting a finger. And finally, number 10, watercress. If you have any kind of consistently moist area, a stream edge, a boggy corner, even a container with constantly damp soil, watercress will establish itself and come back reliably, giving you a peppery, nutrient-dense green that most people pay a premium for at the grocery store. It's one of the most nutrient-dense greens you can grow, and once it's established in the right spot, it's remarkably self-sufficient. Now here's the transformation. Imagine your garden 2 years from now. Instead of starting from bare soil every spring, you walk outside and asparagus spears are already pushing up through the ground. Rhubarb is unfurling its leaves. Your walking onions have spread another 2 feet on their own. Your horseradish patch is thriving in the corner you dedicated it to. You're not buying seed packets. You're not starting trays indoors under grow lights. You're not gambling on whether a late frost wipes out weeks of work. You're just harvesting. That's the shift. Annual gardening is a yearly gamble. Perennial gardening is a compounding investment. The more years pass, the bigger, more established, and more productive these plants become, with less work from you, not more. Think about the math for a second. If the average gardener spends around $300 a year on seeds and starts, and a perennial system eliminates most of that after the first year or two, you're looking at real savings compounding over a decade. More importantly, you're building food security that doesn't reset every January 1st. That's the real win here. Not just saving money,
but building a system that keeps working even in the years you don't have time to garden as much. So, here's what I want you to do. Pick just one of these 10, the one that fits your climate and your space best, and plant it this season. Not all 10, just one. Get one perennial established, let it prove itself to you, and next year, add another. In 5 years, you'll have a food system running quietly in the background of your life, producing whether you're busy, sick, traveling, or just tired. That's what real self-sufficiency looks like. It's not one dramatic overhaul. It's small, permanent decisions that keep paying you back. If this video gave you a new way to think about your garden, tell me in the comments which one of these 10 you're planting first. And if you want more videos like this, breaking down real systems for growing food with less effort and more independence, subscribe, because this channel exists for exactly that. Stop replanting your independence from scratch every single year. Plant it once and let it grow.